People, listen, we're back again, 2 days in a row. Never happened before, but listen, it all happens. It's all going down, man. It's all going down. A lot of updates to give you guys. Listen, one of the main reasons I'm doing this stream is because I got the opportunity to get this guy on my channel. Bruv, incredible content creator. His channel's growing by the day. I recommend you guys to be a part of that. Obviously, subscribe. It's going to be in the link below. I'm going to have him on for the first time. I'm very excited. My guy, CFC Gem. Live in the flesh. Here we go.
What are you saying?
How you doing?
Thanks for having me, man. It's the first time, you know. It's nice to actually be able to get on your channel. And people, you got to smash them likes. Let's try and get him to 1K as quickly as possible. Let's help Slens get there.
Of course, man. Listen, baby steps, man. I'm 11 away from 200. Get me to that first, and guys, listen. anything more than that, I'm eternally grateful. Honestly, man. Yeah. But yeah, listen. I had to get Gem on, man, because listen, GNA TV. Important the news for you to give you guys their opinions, but I've listened to Jem's opinions for a long time and I appreciate his views and everything. But you know what? Listen, there's only one place to start, man. One place to start, and it's the main transfer we're looking after. Obviously, I've said on my stream, all roads lead to Norway, yeah, in terms of Haaland, because I feel like everything that's gone into place, everything that's happening currently at Chelsea, seems to me like I believe it will happen. First and foremost, I want your thoughts. Let me know what you think. Do you think it will happen? Let me know why you don't think it is or why it will.
Yeah, I mean, I've said for a very long time that if it's going to happen, this is the week for me, this week or next. But I think you need to see something in terms of movement from Chelsea this week. You want to hear that we're actually going to lay a bid. It's been very quiet from our aspect of you know, at least producing or putting anything forward or actually giving us any sort of information. We've been sort of starved in many ways up to now, and it's been a little bit frustrating. But I say to people, you know, this is the way Chelsea move. You only got to look at the Havertz deal last season, and for me, it has the same stench of it, where we were dragged out longer than this. It went on for 2 months. You know, we were sitting there waiting. It got to the point where we was like, he ain't coming, and then bang, Chelsea lay that official bid, and things turn around quickly. And yeah, look, I've been saying since day dot I've wanted this guy. You know, I wanted him over Lukaku. I wanted him over Harry Kane. He's the guy for me that I think is the perfect fit for Chelsea. Not only in his attributes, but his age as well. You know, being so young as well. The team that we currently have there, the youngsters in the Mason Mounts, the Callum Hudson-Odoi, the boys that are all young, sort of growing into their primes to become whoever they're going to become. It's really exciting, and I still think we can do it. You know, there's too much talk around it. It's not like it's blown away, and you know, or you've seen Chelsea go down a different avenue to try and get someone else. It seems to just still be lingering, and when that's usually happening, and plus Chelsea being quiet, it's usually good times for us. But we'll have to see.
Yeah, listen, as you said, there was a lot of talk around it. That's actually what we're going to touch on today as well. Like you talked about do or die this week. I agree with you. I had this banner prepared before we even said this. We didn't even agree on this side. We didn't even speak about it. But the reason it is because, listen, the season starts in 2.5 weeks, yeah? That's number one. Number two, Dortmund have a season to worry about themselves. They have pre-season to start. They want to get their in order. I know they signed Daniel Malen from PSV, but it doesn't really mean much. I think a lot of things are going into place now where the deal has to be done within the next 2 weeks. We can't prepare a season. We can't bring the guy in a week before the season begins. You know what I mean? Like, sorry, a week before the transfer window, the deadline day. Like, we can't do that. I think a transfer like him, you need to prepare for him, get the shirt sales ready, get the announcement ready. It takes a long time. Even when we do end up signing him, you'll notice that the announcement will take a bit of time. That happened with Havertz, happened with Sancho. But listen, as I said, the rumors have come out. It's all come out. In terms of the biggest rumor I've seen is obviously CFC News page and Carefree Youth. Two of them, I think, more respected transfer dealings. Resources that have come out. They've said that 130 million has been offered. It hasn't been. It's not an official bid. There's been talks between them, and apparently, if that doesn't go through, then we're looking at 130 plus 20 million in add-ons. The one thing I'll say about that before you go on, Jem, I just want to say, guys, understand that although I'm validifying this rumor, keep in mind, I don't think people would report on a second bid if the first bid hasn't been accepted yet or hasn't been declined yet. It doesn't make any sense. They can't report on two bids at the same time. Like, we can't be that exposed. So for me, you know what you think about that, Jem, bro?
Yeah, look, we can't be exposed, and the one thing that I don't think we would do is not, sell the players that we've sold in Giroud and Tammy. Tammy potentially going to Arsenal as well, but not have anyone set up to come in and leave it to the last minute. Not only is Tuchel not, Tuchel's not going to want that. Tuchel's going to want whoever it is that's coming in to at least have a couple games, blend with the guys, mix with the guys, and I think if I'm Tuchel, I'm banging on the door saying to the board, hey, like, what are we waiting for? Come on, if the personal, because I think we're past the personal terms. I think we're past the players' wages. I think we're past the agent fees. I just think it's understanding what we can get away with Dortmund. I think the whole 130 million bid cash is more of a tester. Chelsea then throw the 130 plus 20 million add-ons, then that hits the 150 for me, and that probably does work. But I think they'll do either or. I don't think it will be what CFC Newspaper said, where it was like, oh, they're going to do this first, then do that after. It sort of defeats the object, doesn't it? You know what we're going to offer after, so why would you put the first bid forward? Do you know what I mean? So
yeah, of course.
I think it'll be either or. And look, listen, there was other talks. I don't want to sort of go off topic, but there was other talks that, from what I've heard off air, that there's a potential contract being set up for Lukaku as backup at the moment as well, because his missus is living in the UK and she's pushing for him to come over to London and live here. So who knows? Don't be surprised if we are trying with Dortmund and try and agree Saint, and it just fizzes off and you don't see Chelsea put Saint down, but then next week you see a huge bid come out for Lukaku like that. You just don't know. What I'm saying.
Well, one thing for certain is that, as you said, because of the sales of Giroud, right, we gave him a new contract. We put a releases clause to get a new contract until next year. Then we sold him for 1 million. Now Tammy's looking to be sold. No, we're not linked to any other striker of like a backup caliber. Perhaps maybe like a Lukaku, Haaland, and that's all I've heard. Honestly, I haven't heard the talk of Ings. I haven't heard any other talk, which shows me, as you said, that we're looking at a high caliber striker. We've got money on the line there. We've got money sat there waiting to buy a high caliber striker. And if it's not Haaland, as you said, Lukaku could be an option. I know he said he's come out. He said he doesn't want to join Chelsea. But at the end of the day, money talks over everything.
Do you not feel like we need? I said this yesterday on someone else's channel. I said, I know we're talking about a striker, but I feel like we need strikers. I know we need the main man, whether it's Haaland, Lukaku, whoever it is, but we're competing on all four levels this season. It's a lot of games to be played, 50 plus games a season. So I only have one out and out striker. I know people could say, well, you could flip him with Havertz, you could flip him with Werner, but then it goes back to square one. I think like having a tier 2, tier 3 striker as backup, i.e. a Danny Ings, for example, I think would be good for us. I don't know what your thoughts are on it, but
I hear you. Do you know what it is though? Like my issue is that last year we had three very competent strikers. We had Tammy, Giroud, and Werner. Havertz could slot in as well. I think if you look at it, really, game time wasn't distributed like the way you think it was. It wasn't distributed very equally. I think Tammy struggled to get game time, and he didn't even get in many squads. So the way I see it is, I think Armando Broja will probably take the spot that Tammy has left, and Giroud will be replaced by Havertz. I know you don't like to make dues with that. I understand it. It's not Havertz and Werner being in that striker position isn't ideal, but I think we literally in that squad we have 4 players who can play as a striker if we do sign Haaland, obviously, or Lukaku.
Yeah,
so I'm happy with that. Like it doesn't really it's not a worrying factor for me. Like, we have a lot of games to play next year, obviously being in the Club World Cup and in Super Cups, but I'm still happy with the options we have.
I just think we need goal scorers, and I'm not saying Havertz is not, and we know Werner had a great season or two in Leipzig, and he can put him in the back of the net. And I'm hoping he does. I'm one of the guys that actually thinks he's going to have a good season. I know a lot of people are not confident about him, but I think we've got to give every player that we signed last season another opportunity. Just clean, fresh page. You know what I mean? Like, just all right. We know last season wasn't the greatest for most of them, but give them an opportunity to at least try and show us what they're about. And it's going to be an important season, not for all of them, and the Chelsea boys as well. So we have to see.
Do you know what's mad, Jim? Is that you said we need goal scorers? That actually stood out for me, and that to me, like, I look at Haaland and Havertz and Werner. To me, before last year, we could consider them goal scorers, but because of the season they had, you're worried. So for me, the only way is up for them, both of them, in terms of goals, in terms of pure numbers. I'm happy if one of them reaches 20 goals. It doesn't have to be both. I want to see one of them actually reach their potential
Double digits.
and
Double digits.
yeah, exactly. Because I've said this before. Statistically, I've said this on your channel as well. Last year, attackingly was our worst ever performance in terms of the league from our attacking force since when? Since 2015 and 2016, which is where we finished 10th. So, as I said, the only way is up. The only way is up. I can't see Jorginho being our top striker again. I highly doubt that will happen again. But
penalties. That's not.
Of course.
Let's be serious though, Slens. They were all poor last season when it comes to even Mason Mount, who supposedly was our best player, based on his performances. But none of them hit double digits. It's embarrassing.
Do you know why that happened though? Because one relies on the other in terms of like carry me, like get me the goals, and I'll have that little participation here and there. Yeah. We didn't have that out and out striker. I think when we do, you know what happened? The rest will actually fix their act up. They'll actually reach another level and they'll start scoring more goals because the weight isn't on them anymore. Do you understand? Yeah. So that Haaland makes that difference in terms of that. Like I think even 100%. Pulisic, I was arguing today. Pulisic isn't really a chance creator. I think he's more of a goal scoring winger. And you know what? Like I could see him having a big season in terms of goals and assists next year as well. So listen, it just takes one guy.
Yeah, well, from what I've heard from pre-season, the Callum Hudson-Odois are looking like he did prior to his injury. He's looking fit. He's looking sharp. Pulisic is looking fresh and sharp as well. Let's just hope that we can keep them all fit. That's the problem. Yeah. I think that's the trick I think that's the thing that Tuchel's got to do well, and I think he will do well because we've seen it last season. He likes to rotate his squads. You don't really see us play the same front three. It's always mixed. All right, if Haaland comes in, he'll probably play most games, but you might see a switch of Werner with Pulisic or a Havertz with Mount or a Ziyech. Do you know what I mean? So it's good. Yeah. It's good option.
Bro, I love how as soon as you mention Callum Hudson-Odoi, look who pops up, man. Obviously it's another daytime stream. Big up Kai, man. The link below is you'll see KH No Filter Football. Just press on the link, takes you directly to their channel, and come back here. Subscribe and come back here. Come watch the rest of the video. But yeah, listen. So in terms of your question that you asked me, Dano says you limit the ability to be tactically flexible to me out and out strikers. I hear that because you want to have different options in terms of tactically being flexible. So you want to have your second option. You want it to be a different type of striker to the first one. I hear what you're saying. Keep in mind this is the largest deal we've ever seen. Third, of course. Listen, this is a big deal. It can't be done in 2 or 3 weeks. Like whether we like it or not. I know we want the deal to be done as soon as possible. But listen, it's difficult to get everything in order in time. A lot goes into a transfer. Sometimes transfers are done over many years, by the way. Like you start talking to the agent a year before and you start discussing this, and next year we're going to come for you, we're going to come for your agent, we're going to do this and that. So it's not simple. It's never that simple.
It's the biggest deal in Premier League football, like in history. When you think about players that have come in terms of the transactions of the players coming in, no one spent more than 100 million on a player. No Premier League club spent more than 100 million on any player. It's not only going to reflect on Chelsea, it's going to reflect on world football, Premier League, European football. Everything will change moving forward, I think. So we'll see.
And don't go too far. Like you talk about Premier League clubs, even Chelsea. Like our biggest signing is obviously, unfortunately, Kepa Arrizabalaga for 72 million. This is double the amount. So it's not that simple, guys. It's not. It really isn't. Like as much money as we could have. Roman has cash coming out of everywhere, right? But at the same time, there's certain limitations set by FIFA. We don't know what the FFP rules are. We might be trying to. The club might know the new rules that we don't know yet. And they might trying to find a way around it and try to find the way to kind of pay for the transfer without it breaking any rules. So there's a lot of things that go into it. But listen, the one thing that stands out for me in terms of Haaland as well is that, as we've said, like once he comes in, someone like Havertz, who proved to be an impeccable player, like in the toughest of moments last year, the toughest moment in our history in the last 7 years, who stands up? Who has the best performance for Chelsea? It's Havertz, man. Havertz picks up the slack. And you know what? I think, again, someone like Havertz will benefit from Haaland because Haaland can be someone you can play off. He can be someone who takes the weight off you in terms of goals. Havertz can become a creator just for Haaland. And the weight is off him. Do you know what I mean?
I think I think what Haaland brings to Chelsea is two things. It allows the players that we currently got to actually play in their natural positions. I'm talking about the forward line mainly. Number one. Number two, it allows us to adapt to different formations. So we don't have to play this three at the back because we're worried about the offensive aspect of our game, which is the issue because we go into games, we're like, are we going to score today? Are we going to get 1, 2, whatever, And that's what Tuchel done last season. He thought to himself, well, if we're not scoring goals, let's just be solid from the back. Haaland
course.
changes that for us. He scores them 20 big chances that Werner missed last season. You know that yourself, so it's a big difference.
Yeah, and then listen, here's the thing as well. Like, I think one of his biggest strength, is what people always, when it comes to criticism of Haaland, I hear is that the Bundesliga in terms of highlights. Think about this, right? Timo Werner is someone that I've criticized myself, but at the end of the day, he still got those chances. He still was in that position to get those chances, and guess what? Yeah. Even if Haaland misses 50% of that Werner has missed in terms of chances, he's still going to be on double-digit goals. Yeah, because I believe it was 28 missed chances, big chances missed in the whole season. So he scores 16 of that or 15 of that for Haaland. Then we're looking at 20, 30. Yeah, there you go. So just be reasonable. I can't see any criticism that is actually valid for Haaland. The criticism I hear is that he can't do it in the biggest moments. His Champions League record speaks for itself. He's got one of the best game-to-goal ratio Champions League records. So listen.
It's also it's the worry that I've heard, and this is from not all Chelsea fans, a small minority of them, is that he comes in at a very young age, and it's like he's not allowed to have a dip because they're like, well, if he comes in, what if he doesn't score for 7 games?
Yeah,
then he don't score for 7 games. The best players in world football all have dips. It's a normal thing. People need to understand that. Whether it's because he needs to, I don't think Haaland will struggle with anything. To be honest, I think he comes in because the amount of how much the amount of times we create in games for the strikers, I think he buries them, and I don't think we have any issues with him having to adapt because I think it will bring him out. He's like his natural strengths out anyway. I think if you look at his attributes, he's good with the ball, he's strong, he's quick. I think he can hold the ball up. I know people say he's not the greatest in holding the ball. I think he can link play. I think he's got everything he needs to be able to play in the Premier League. I don't see how people worry about that.
Yeah. Now, in terms of Haaland, the deal itself, just to go back to that, just one more point that actually that's important to know is, you see, when it comes to his agent, Mino Raiola, FIFA have introduced a new, I don't know if you know about this, in 2020, they introduced a new rule when in terms of agents with transfers. So they've set a cap in terms of how much commission they can get from a certain transfer. I believe it's 10%. So it's about 10%, I think. So if you look at Raiola, he's getting 40 million from this deal. Now, at the end of the day, Mino Raiola knows that this is an opportunity for him, for Mino Raiola and Haaland's dad to get paid the big bucks. I think it's 40 million between them two. I don't think he can get that next year. So Mino Raiola will be pushing for this deal himself, and you don't want Mino Raiola to kind of set bad, give bad seats to his agent, who will then turn against the club. Listen, it can all happen. It can all unravel because we know what Mino Raiola is. He's a mercenary.
He also signed off the Malen deal, didn't he, as well? So that might have partly to do with it as well. Him trying to get that across the line because they needed someone as backup in case Chelsea come in with this wild bid. I actually think Dortmund, when they originally put that bid out, thought no one's going to bother. And the fact that Chelsea are now looking quite serious, in doing that, I think it's kind of caught them off guard in many ways. And it's like, because if they've not once come out, and I've said this so many times, they've not once come out and said, it doesn't matter how much money you offer, we are not selling Haaland. They didn't say that. And they did with Sancho last season to Man United. They said to him, if you don't sign him on this deadline date and offer us this much, we ain't selling. They haven't done that once. Why?
Yeah. And here's the thing.
Of course.
And exactly. Listen, here's the thing. Listen, the Malen point is very good as well, because I was going to move on to that. In terms of Malen, ex-West Ham employee, he's on Twitter. You guys should check him out. He's got his stuff behind the paywall, but I'm going to tell you guys what he said. Big up Monster. Monster CFC was giving us reports that are behind the paywall, and I'm just trying to spread the message as well. I don't think transfer information should be behind the paywall. I think it's a bit ridiculous because we all have the right to know what's going on in our club. But he said that Daniel Malen is actually a Haaland replacement. He said that, like those exact words. And he's someone who's got a lot of things right in the past. I think he's got Lampard's appointment correctly. He's got Declan Rice's rejection of the contract correctly, and he's got even Havertz. I believe Havertz was one of the first people to report. So he said that Daniel Malen is looked at as a Haaland replacement for either for this season or for the long term. So that again, that gives you indication. And Jem's point about not having a price tag put on him and said, if you don't pay this, we're not going to get him. I think again, beware of comparing the situation to Sancho, because Sancho never had this clause in his contract that says his price will be reduced by 50% next season. His price was reduced by 30 to 20 million, but not by half Next season, we're looking at 68 million for Haaland. So Dortmund have literally, if you don't consider our deal, which is 130, whatever it is, it'll be very daft. Like, you have to listen to what we have to say. Even if we're not giving you the 150, you'd rather miss out on 20 million than miss out on half his price tag. Surely, right? So that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. It's nonsense. Like,
that's a business aspect thing, isn't it? And that's not even just football. That's anything. It doesn't matter what trade you're in. If you know you can make more money in this year because you know that your profits are going to drop the next on a certain product, let's just say, you make your sale now. It's common sense. Do you know what I mean? Sometimes.
Because your product, for a fact, your product will not increase in price next year. No matter what happens, the price tag is there. Like, even if you try to compare it to that, it will never. We know the price tag is there, and people will pay it. Right? Probably the first day of the transfer window next season, I'll probably have 3 or 4 clubs who paid that amount already. So you don't want that to happen. It can't even be a bidding war because the release clause is there. It's about who he chooses. So surely it's just business-wise. For me, that's why I'm confident it will happen, because business-wise it makes sense. I think as a profile for Haaland to elevate his level, it makes sense. For Minarola, it makes sense. Even for Roman, we know Roman loves strikers.
His dad,
you know what I mean?
As well.
His dad as well. Yeah, it just all makes sense. So that's what I'm saying. Don't panic, guys. Don't get dragged left and right by journalists who don't have much information, who are just.
I always say
today,
look in between the lines when you listen to tier 1 journalists, because they do know more than what they're actually telling us, and they only tell us what they're told they can tell us in many ways. So sometimes you just got to look at what's mentioned, take bits from it, and then paint your own image in your head and just narrow it. I always say to people, just simplify things. I always say it in life, simplify. If you can simplify things in your head, it makes it a lot easier. And what Sten said there, he's Raiola's happy because he'll make more money, which he won't be making next season. His dad, he gets a cut out of it, which apparently, supposedly, it's going to come out of Roman's pocket. He's going to sign some checks off and do that. That's what I've heard. Yeah. Dortmund make double the money on him. Haaland gets 300 odd K a week from getting tying to this deal. Like,
triples his wages.
Just simplify it. It makes sense.
Listen, and what you said about tier 1 journalists not saying everything they know. I've got a lot of people who sent me this tweet by Fabrizio Romano, saying this is what he said. Erling Haaland has no agreement on personal terms with any club as of today. That you see, as of today. But the real issue is to sign Haaland this summer is Dortmund's position. Now, as number one, personal terms not very difficult to reach because we're offering him more money, as Jem said, and he also said as of today. So I'm telling you, do you know what that could mean? That could mean we're talking to him today. We're talking, but it hasn't been agreed yet. Yeah,
he knows something.
So and people are just overreacting. Like, Romano knows what he's doing. He's got 41.2k likes on this because he's not going to give you all the information. He's going to give you what he knows now, and then he'll update you when it happens. It's just read him, as he said, read in between the lines. Be smart about this, and don't panic, man. If it doesn't happen, we will still sign someone. I guarantee you. And maybe it won't be someone as good as Haaland, but it will be someone that will be a bigger improvement on what we have currently. So
Lukaku. We'll see.
Listen, exactly. But listen, for me, I think Haaland, as I said, guys, that's literally all the information I can give you in terms of what I know, what I've read, what I can read in between the lines. And you do the same thing I do. I'm not a source. Neither is Jem. All we do is that I've been through many transfer windows and I've been through many sagas with Chelsea, and I've seen how they turn out. I know people say, "Oh, we've had bad transfer windows after success," but think about this. This isn't about transfer window. A bad transfer window is signing players that don't suit your team, signing backup players that aren't good enough for Chelsea. I'd rather not sign anyone than sign someone like a Drinkwater or a Kepa, or do you know what I mean? I'd just keep the team the way it is and let Tuchel improve on it, rather than sign someone who doesn't suit your team. But listen, in terms of Haaland, that's honestly all I could say for you. But the next news I want to break down is obviously this one about Tammy. Now, I want just my quick thoughts about this. I think I've discussed this before on this channel. In terms of Tammy, 40 million I think is fair. I think if you look at the price tags of other English talents, they've been very overpriced. And Tammy is no different. Tammy's goal scoring record speaks for itself. We know he's not good enough to lead the line at Chelsea, but I think someone like Arsenal. I know he's an Arsenal fan, so Arsenal would be a good story for him to move on to kind of maybe like get more regular game time and improve his level. But let me know your thoughts. What do you think about this, Jen?
I think it works. I think you won't see Chelsea sell. I actually thought Chelsea wouldn't sell him until we actually confirmed that we're bringing someone in. But there's talks that we're actually going to let him go sooner rather than later. And again, either or, I think Chelsea wouldn't let him go unless they've got someone coming in. It just doesn't make sense, does it? Why would you get rid of both your strikers and only have no, maybe a Werner and that's about it, and a Brozier? That don't make no sense. So I think originally I thought it might be worth him going West Ham and maybe doing a player swap for Declan Rice. I thought that might have worked. The only reason it won't work is because Tammy wanted an increase on his wage, which Chelsea didn't want to give him because he wanted the same wage structure as Callum Hudson-Odoi, which is what he did. And we turned around and said no, which is probably part of the reason why he is leaving. Not only is he not playing under Tuchel, but it was because he wanted more money. I don't think West Ham can afford that kind of money. When you look at their wage structure, they're paying people like Declan Rice 70 or 80k. Do you know what I mean? They're meant to be their best players. They're not going to be spending 200k or 180k on Tammy Abraham. And I think the only people that have that kind of money to do that is an Arsenal, So I think Arsenal is true. I think it is true. I think he will probably end up going there, providing we actually bring someone in. And it works for them, I don't think he starts. I still think Aubameyang and probably Lacazette will probably get played, but he will be a rotation striker and he will get them goals because he will score goals. He does score goals. That's what he does. So
and what you said about wages, people don't understand again. Like in terms of even the Haaland deal, any transfer in the world, make sure you keep the wages in mind because wages accumulate. If you give him 400k a week, 300k a week, that could become 20 million in 4 years. Like that's still a big amount. People think that and just because it makes sense, like what's Tammy the striker? Tammy's available. No, that's not how it works. You look at people's wage structures. See how he fits into the wage structure, and if he even is happy to take a pay cut. I don't think many players would be. So, in terms, as you said, in terms of being able to pay for the player, I think Arsenal is capable of offering the wages he wants. Instead of being a third or fourth choice at Chelsea, he'll be a second choice because, as Melina said here, talking about selling Laka, she's saying it's looking like we are selling Laka. He only has 1 year left on his contract. That's why they are after time. Exactly. So Lacazette isn't seen as a future striker for Arsenal. He isn't seen as someone who can be, who could sign a new contract to stay at Arsenal for years. And Tammy is young. He's got a goal-scoring pedigree in the Premier League as well. So again, it just makes sense. I think from a sentimental point of view, I don't even think I'd be too upset with him or too the whole tribalism thing about him moving to Arsenal. I wouldn't be that much, to be honest. I don't know about you.
Well, predominantly we send a lot of our old players to their retirement home, which is Arsenal. So that's the only question mark I'd have for Tammy. Why would you go to Arsenal? It's a retirement home place, mate. But to be honest, look, if Arsenal were interested and they wanted him, then fine. I actually originally thought a couple of weeks back that he'd probably go back to Aston Villa because they've got a lot of money at the moment and they're looking to strengthen in all aspects. But I know they've got Ollie Watkins up front already. But I actually thought Tammy Abraham would have suited Aston Villa more than Arsenal in many ways. But
Aston Villa have a lot of creators as well, and obviously Tammy. We know Tammy struggles to be clinical, and if you give him more than 3 or 4 chances a game, you can see him becoming a decent goal scorer. That's what he struggled at Chelsea in the big games. I've said this because you don't get many chances as a striker. You don't get much space. You struggle. And that's how it is. Like he's just not. He's not.
Yeah,
go on, bro. Go on. No, go on.
I was just say, do you know what it is? Sometimes when you're a striker, you have to create something out of nothing. And if you look at like Didier Drogba back in the day, where he used to just control the ball in his chest and then just swivel against Liverpool and bang, goal. Do you know what I mean? Something out of nothing. Like done it so many times. You look at Diego Costa, another one the same that could just create something out of nothing. In a game where he looked like he was non-existent, it will just turn up at that second and throw someone on the floor, put it in the bottom corner. I don't think Tammy Abraham's got that in him to do that. No. I think if you're not creating for him, he can't, he can't make something out of nothing. And I think at Chelsea, I think especially in the way we play and in games, you need someone like that. And that's why we're going for someone like Haaland, because I think he's the kind of guy that would do that. He'd throw 3 players on the floor and then, bury it in the bottom corner, or he'd just score from some crazy position angle and it'll go in. Tammy Abraham hasn't got that. do you know what I mean? So he will never unfortunately be the new Drogba or the new Costa at Chelsea, and that's why we're moving him on.
Yeah, of course. Listen, as you said, that trait is very rare to have in today's strikers. It's crazy, man, but that's the reality of it. That's why someone like Haaland and someone like Lukaku, they all priced the way they are, because it's rare to find a striker who doesn't rely on service. Like even the best, even Haaland like who was so good at creating his own chances, he didn't dip massively. But when Sancho kind of was out of the team, we know Sancho's a great creator.
Yeah.
There was a little bit of a dip, like 3 or 4 games, which is unusual for him, where he didn't score or it didn't affect the game. So it shows you like that trait. That's why we love Costa and we love Drogba so much, because they create something out of nothing. Not many strikers can do that, but Tammy isn't that guy, unfortunately. But obviously, Arsenal, like any Arsenal fans listening to this, don't worry, he's an incredible striker. You sign him for 50 million. I think that's only fair. But yeah, that's how I see it, man. Listen, I think he'll be sad when he leaves. Obviously, Kai doesn't agree. He says he's gonna throw an orgy when he leaves.
Yeah, so Kai don't like any of the Chelsea youngsters. He hates Callum Hudson-Odoi. He don't like Tammy Abraham. He thinks Mason Mount's overrated. He definitely don't like any of them, man.
Okay, listen, I told Kai that he would benefit. Obviously, Haaland would benefit from someone like Cho and Ziyech, and he was like, "Cho, what do you mean, Cho?" Like, I was like, "Yeah, listen, the creators. as a striker, if you have creators around you, you'll love it, man. It's just the way it is." But listen, everyone in the comments, man, let me know what you think about Tammy leaving as well. Like, let me know if him going to Arsenal, then more than any club, annoys you, yes or no. But listen, the last thing I'm going to touch on, is obviously we just talked about Haaland, and we have to face reality. As much as I said, I think it will happen. We have to obviously cover all angles at Chelsea. We have to know if there are any alternatives that could be almost just 3/4 as good as Haaland. And some of the names that I brought up is someone like Griezmann, obviously, yesterday. Griezmann, there was reports that obviously because of Barcelona's financial situation at the moment in terms of, registering new players and their inflated wage bill, would someone like Griezmann interest you at all at Chelsea as an alternative? No. He wouldn't?
No.
Ooh, so
I think
obviously, fair enough, yeah.
Taking a piss out of Barcelona. He's getting paid nearly 800,000 euros a week, and he's been an absolute flop. Yeah, if you look at their wage structure, it's so bad. I can't believe he's getting that kind of money. He's just not the type of player that Chelsea need, and this is why I said I know people were saying to me about Dybala and some other players, and I was saying, like, that's not the player Chelsea need. We've got enough of them kind of players in our team, So no, not for me. Yeah,
do you know what? I'm gonna actually touch on this actually just very quickly, just before I move on to my next player that I was going to suggest. But you see, Varane. Are you surprised that Chelsea didn't compete for the signing of Varane?
No,
because I know your opinions of him. You're not a big fan, are you?
I'm so happy that he's actually come to the Premier League, because I'm not going to lie, I haven't. Like, from what I've seen of him, he's a top defender. I'm getting told that he's elite defender, and I don't think he's an elite defender from what I've seen. And I watched the Euros, which is probably the most I've seen him in play in a while, and they were conceding goals left, right, and centre, and he didn't look strong. I think with a player like Varane, you need a leader next to him. I think he needs navigation. I don't think he is a natural leader. I think he's very good in terms of his recovery pace, his positioning. And he's a decent defender. Don't get me wrong, but if you look at where Chelsea are at the moment, if we'd have let Thiago Silva go, then I would have said yes. The fact that we still got a Thiago Silva there, Christensen stepped up, Rudiger stepped up.
What, Christensen? What?
Yeah,
what's going on, Jeb?
No, but he's stepped up, hasn't he? Is what I'm trying to say. He's stepped up. I actually think in terms of the whole squad that we've got, the defence is the only area that we could probably get away with and say we don't actually need at the moment. We've got strength. You know what I mean? We can switch around, play players here and there. With Reece James can maybe slot him back in there as well and stuff. So, yeah,
do you think? Sorry, do you think that's down to the centre backs or the structure that Tuchel has in place? Because I know a lot of people said that defensively we have a great record, but obviously as a fan you need to understand the reason we have a great record. Obviously, is down to the players overperforming and like raising their levels in the biggest moments, but also it's about Tuchel's defensive structure, like the way he has them drilled, like the positions we take on, the last duels we were winning. Like, it's not just down to the centre backs' qualities while we're so good defensively. Do you understand what I mean? So even someone like Christensen, you have criticism of him because he's not consistent, but the reason he's doing so well is because he's got a role that suits his strengths. That's what Tuchel does incredibly well. Do you know what I mean? The same with Rudiger.
Yeah, I get what you're saying, and this is yet to be seen. This is why I don't go on the bandwagon with Jorginho. You know my thoughts on Jorginho and Christensen and Rudiger. They're all playing in a system that's getting the best out of them. But what happens when we have to switch that system? What happens when we have to do something different? Can they adapt? Are they versatile enough to be able to adapt to their positions? Because that's what a good player is for me. A top world-class player is for me. So we'll have to see, because I do think Tuchel is going to have to switch up eventually. So let's see what happens.
Yeah, See, according to Will's read a report from L'Equipe about Kimpembe, and I think he's held on to it for too long. I think that report is probably just one that's just written to sell some newspapers. Man, I do not see Kimpembe leaving PSG. I would welcome him at Chelsea. I don't know what you think, but I would welcome him at Chelsea. I think he's a young leader again. Like talking about leaders, these are very rare, and they come far in between in terms of centre backs. Most of them just have very good quality. They have great recovery pace, but the reading of the game and the leadership is kind of lacking. As we saw with Chelsea, like before Thiago Silva came in, we had Aspi, of course, who's an incredible leader, but I don't even think he has the leadership qualities that someone like Thiago Silva has. So that kind of thing is obviously you see it in Marquinhos, you see it in Kimpembe, you don't see it in many centre backs.
Nah, Kipembe's a good. Again, he's another good. He is a very good defender from what I've seen as well. I haven't watched enough of him to comment too much, but from what I've seen of him, he's solid. He's organised. You know where he is. Again, is he a leader though? That's the only thing I know.
Kimpembe.
I don't. Yeah, I don't.
In terms of young defenders, bro, like I've seen more leadership from him than many older centre backs, honestly. And that's the thing. Obviously, people are saying Marquinhos is clear of Kimpembe. I'm not saying that Marquinhos is anywhere near Kimpembe. Marquinhos is a level ahead. He's a level ahead of almost everyone, as Will said. That's why he's worth 80 to 90 million, because he's one of the best centre backs in the game, like in terms of leadership and everything else. So, yeah. Listen, even the people talking about tomorrow will be, guys, just let go of the tomorrow thing. Let go of the tomorrow. But let me go back to my point now. This is a topic I want to discuss. Listen, here's the thing. Now, I'm not saying we should sign him, but for me, based on ability, I know he hasn't proved that he's not consistent. Based on ability, I think what he has, the characteristics he has, it would suit a crucial team. I think his off-the-ball movement is one of his biggest criticism. But honestly, we have someone who has great movement, but doesn't really finish chances. Do you know what I mean? So I'm not saying we should sign him, but I'm saying if Haaland doesn't come true and he becomes available for a low price, I would entertain the idea. I want you to give me your thoughts, and I know it's going to be very scathing, but go ahead, man, Jam. Take the mic, man.
What is he? Can someone explain to me what he is? Because I don't think even Man United know what he is. Number one, I don't want a player that doesn't know what he is. Well, we know that he's got bags of ability. We know that he's a good player. But he's got such an issue with his mentality. How can you be in the Premier League for 6 years? And in my eyes, all right, he had a good at the end of last season where he was important to them getting into the Premier League. But he's so up and down. He's so there's no consistency in his performances, and he's not a striker because to be an out and out striker, you have to have good movement. He wants the ball, so you have to give him the ball to feet for him to turn around and to be dangerous. Driving, and that's what he's good at doing. He plays on the wing, but then we've got Pulisic, Cho, Ziyech. Does he? Where does he fit in? What is he? How does he fit
in our team? In our team,
yeah.
I think if we play a 3-5-2, then he'd fit in probably one of the front two positions. I don't even think he would be a star at Chelsea, but I'm saying if you're talking about strikers like a backup striker, you mentioned Ings. I know Ings is an out and out striker, but Martial, I know he doesn't have one set position, but he's performed well at left wing. And he's performed well. Look what Kai said. And he performs well as a striker. So he's almost a false nine. He comes deep and he wants the ball. He wants to kind of link up with the midfielders and the wingers. But you know what? Listen, I'm not saying we should say. I'm saying I have to look at beyond Haaland, because Kai, you're the biggest critic.
I need to question you actually, because you said they're slandering Timo Werner for his performances last season, and he actually contributed to the team. All right, he didn't score goals. I don't think Martial does that as well as what Timo Werner would do, and I don't see how you think he would be a decent fit to the squad.
Do you know what it is? I hear you what you're saying. I think he had a bad season last year, but the season that Martial had at the number 9 position the year before that, I don't see Werner doing that. Not in the Premier League. I think in terms of the complete game, in terms of the link-up play, the technical ability, the ability to kind of to link up with Pogba. The link-up I've seen the most important thing I'm seeing is link-up, because we don't have that chemistry in our attack. I think Werner contributes to that. I think Werner's ability to kind of link up with players, for me, sometimes it's non-existent. He's not in sync. That's why he's always offside, because he's making the run, right? I know it's not his fault, but he's making the run. He doesn't get identified. If it was just the chemistry was better, people would just recognize the run and just pass it to him. But I just want a player who just fits in well in terms of like ability and the characteristics they have with our attack. I see Martial as a potential option of that. Do you know what I mean?
I don't. I just don't see how it works. I just don't see how it works with him in the team, and not just that. How much is he going to cost? 70, 80 mil?
Yeah, of course. Listen, just to clarify, there's no reports about this. I haven't seen anyone actually link us to him, but I'm saying I think I see him being on the market, to be fair, because United are trying to sell players. I think their transfer business isn't done yet in terms of buying a midfielder possibly. So
can you imagine if we don't get Haaland, and then you see next week that we bring in an Anthony Martial after the whole season that we've been talking about?
The fan base will implode, bro. The fan base will implode. I'm telling you right now. But no, man, listen. This was, I'm not gonna lie, like this again. As I said, he's not my first choice. I don't really believe we should go for him like as a number one choice. But as I said, we know Chelsea. We know business is difficult to be done in terms of Haaland, so we have to look beyond that. Even you said we're missing some, we're missing players that are backup strikers as well. So before I let you go, actually, there's one thing I discussed on my video. I would love to get your thoughts on it. Yeah. Obviously, we know that we're selling a lot of players. Yeah, we're selling a lot of players that have, like, that have been signed, that have failed, and also we're selling a lot of youth. I want your thoughts. What do you think about the youth exodus that's happening at Chelsea? What do you think that means?
For me, it means the same thing as it's meant since Roman Abramovich has come through the door. They just don't get an opportunity. The reason Mason Mount broke into the team was because of Frank Lampard, and not just that, he took his chances, and this is why he's in the team. I think Reece James was at Wigan before he came across to Chelsea and was given his opportunity. Again, took his chances. Callum Hudson-Odoi is still struggling to do that in terms of game time, and also so let's see if he can take his opportunity. In terms of the academy itself, I think what people need to understand is with Chelsea is that we're here to win things, and unfortunately with the academy, it involves giving time. And Chelsea as a structure at the moment, they just can't do that because we want things now. The board want things now. Roman Abramovich probably wants things now, and that's the issue. You can't bring 3 or 4 academy players in, fill your bench up with them, and you have an injury and rely on them to play against the bigger teams, or help compete in the bigger games. Do you know what I mean? Like, I get why we do go out and buy, because we want instant success. There will be a day that comes where Roman Abramovich or Chelsea might turn around and just go, do you know what? We've done this, this, and this. We've won that, and that. Maybe we should take a break from buying to solve our issues. Let's look at our academy and maybe give the opportunities here and there. And I don't think that's going to be anytime soon. And the fact that we're selling them on now makes sense because we're making money on them. Look at Mark Gay. We made 20 million in him.
Yeah.
20 million.
Even Tomori's 30 million is actually, like, people are crying about it, but 30 million for an unproven centre back. I know he's played some games, but it's a great deal. But carry on, bro. Sorry, go on.
Business is business at the end of the day. And if that's going to help fund the likes of a Haaland deal, the likes of someone else that, that's in a position of their career that, that they're sort of exceeding their levels, that they're important. Like, Haaland's a one-off for me. Like, he is generational. I think it's important that Chelsea try and get someone like that. But I'm talking about individual players across Europe that are at a level that if you get them in your team, you will be competing at all levels. Look what Man United are doing right now. They're bringing Varane. All right, I don't rate him, but we know he's a great defender. He's a top defender. He excels them because he's playing next to a Maguire, and I think it will work because in Maguire you've got the leadership, etc. They're bringing Sancho. That elevates them. Why? Sancho's young, but he's took his chances at Dortmund. He's one of the best attacking midfielders in world football right now, and they spent that money on him to bring him in because they want success now. And this is why people like who was the guy that they signed, like Ahmad. They brought in Ahmad, thinking, he's going to solve our issues. The guy didn't even play any games, really, did he? Just think about it. He didn't. He didn't fill that right midfield area for him, And it's the same thing. What I'm trying to get at is, it's not just Chelsea. It's not just Chelsea that are doing this. It's all the big teams are doing this, in my eyes,
For some reason, Chelsea's academy business in terms of selling and buying is always so projected, but I think that's because of how successful the academy, but the product is itself. So people always get, upset about us selling him. But think about this, in our current team, next season we're going to be going into a squad with Reece James, Mason Mount, not Tammy Abraham, but Tino Anjorin, Armando Broja. Who else? Dujon Sterling apparently going to be part of the setup, and Mason Mount, of course. Yeah, apparently, but let's just assume he is. That's 6 players in your squad of a 23-man squad. 6 players are on the academy. How many teams can say that? Yeah, can say they have this many academy players yet achieve success like Champions League? Not many can say that, you know. So, listen, it's just
we're a massive. We're the biggest loanee structure in the Premier League in terms of the players we've got out, and what people don't understand is we earn so much money from doing so. It puts us probably in a better position than others, but just because of the amount of money we bring in from doing that, and if we can sell players like Gay, who, to be honest, at the beginning I was a bit like, maybe he could have been something. Why didn't we give him the opportunity? And then when I think about it, I'm like, it makes sense. They're trying to clear the their wages. They're trying to make profit on players that they potentially think they might not be able to do down the line. It makes sense. You just got to back.
I have a question for you in terms of this. Yeah, I linked it to something. I don't know if I'm clutching at straws here, but I linked it to the Haaland deal. Do you know why? Because I said I'm not saying that we're raising money to buy him because we have that money already. But what we're doing is we're opening space in the squad because we know this guy's going to come in with a massive wage structure, right? You need to open that space up. You need to kind of like in terms of even raising the transfer fee for him. So selling players as soon as, because I haven't seen Chelsea sell academy players. We always loan them out, make profit off them that way. But it seems like we need money now. We need money now to kind of open up business for others. Do you think there's a link there? Or?
Yeah, no, it could be. It could be 2 things. It could be that we're, like you said, clearing out the wage. I mean, we've got people like Baba Rahman who's still at our club and he's getting 95 grand a week. Like, why? Like, do you know what I mean? Like, Barkley, get rid of him. You know, all right, Ruben Loftus-Cheek, you might think we might give him a chance or whatever, fine. But Chelsea doing that is either to clear the wage, like we said, the wage structure, but also to raise money close to maybe the Haaland. I actually don't think it is for the Haaland. I don't think, because I think we've got that money set aside already. I think we can afford to just do that. I think the money I think it's more of, we're going to buy Haaland for 150. So why not try and recoup some profit by selling players, but at the same time free up the wage structure? Because if someone like Haaland comes in, he's going to want at least 300k, and we're going to need to accommodate for that. And I don't think it's always about us just selling players to make money to spend it on more players. Sometimes it's to make money to recoup maybe, you know, the 130. It's a business thing. You know what I mean? Like the 130 that we might have to spend or the 150 that we might have to spend in Haaland. If we can do that by selling a couple of players and making 100 mil, and then we buy Haaland for 150, then in theory we've only spent 50 mil.
Yeah, of course. Do
you know what I mean? Like,
of course. But yeah. Listen, man. That's it for now. Like that's my show, man. I'm glad. Thank you for joining me, Gemma. I've got 15 of you guys watching here. Yeah. Before you leave this video, leave a like, subscribe to this channel, and then press on the link below. Subscribe to KH Football, and of course, subscribe to GNA TV. It's going to be a big season for all three channels. We're going to be doing shows. Going to be doing obviously collaborations and all that. So listen, man. This is all. When it comes to Haaland, guys, just have faith. It's a big week. If any developments happen, then expect a video from this channel. And hopefully, man, just have some faith. Stop being so negative, guys.
Just be patient. I keep saying it. Patience is what's needed here. I know we've been patient enough and we've been starved and we're waiting. But like I said to you, Chelsea being quiet is always sometimes a good thing. One way or the other, me and Slins have said it. I think the same as well. We will get a striker. One way or the other, I think we will get a solid striker. Why? Because we've got the money to do it. So let's just wait and see what we do. Course.
But yeah, listen, man, big up to you, Jem, man. Big up to you. Big up to everything you're doing as well. Guys, big up to all of you watching. As I said, leave a like. A lot more content coming from my way from this channel. So we'll see you guys in a bit and take care.